Okay, so we're going to jump into section 5F here. This is your stable tachycardia for adult and pediatric. If you look over to the left, once again, you have your treatment priorities box. There is a lot in here. I would like you guys to go ahead and try to read those and read through those. I'm not going to read through step by step because we're going to hit most of it as we go through this section, and then we'll go back to it at the very end. But you've got your treatment priorities box, and then right below it, you have your unstable symptomatic tachycardia box, and it's the same as the last several videos. So just keep those in mind, and we'll get this kicked off. So as far as EMR, EMT, all the way through or intermediate and advanced, nothing changes. It's still going to be the same as your just treatment of ACS. Where it changes is when you get to the paramedic level. So when you get to the paramedic level, down here on the blue box, it's got this chart, and it will have arrows. If you answer the question yes, no, it'll send you one direction or the other. So we'll just kind of walk through this real quick. So for paramedics, we'll analyze and treat per flow chart below. Pediatrics, always consult online medical control for your treatment plan. So we go down. If the adult heart rate is greater than or equal to 150, or if you have an afebrile pediatric heart rate greater to or equal than 180. If it's not, you go to the right and you just treat per other applicable protocols. You figure out what's going on and you treat on to that protocol. But if it is, which is going to be the point of this protocol, then you go down a box. You look right there, it says unstable with symptoms and adult systolic blood pressure less than 100, and then pediatric systolic blood pressure less than 70 plus 2 times the age in years. So if it is yes, then you're going to treat per 5G, which we talked about, or we will talk about here in a second. So if you go back over to the left and it's no, that's where we're going to get into this specific protocol. So there's several different rhythms that you can have that we will treat. We'll start on the very left. It's going to be your AFib or A flutter. Remember, your AFib is irregular, and I can never say that correctly, so make fun of me if you want. I don't care. Or your A flutter, which is your shark tooths. So if you're unfamiliar with those, again, as far as rhythms go, just reach out to one of us and we'll try to get you some help with that and get you comfortable with that. So if it's AFib or A flutter, what we can do is we can give cardiazem, but with cardiazem or ditalazam, it's going to be online medical control order only. So the fire department, we do not carry this on our rigs. The ambulances do because they have to be refrigerated. So just keep that in mind. That's, I would assume, one of the reasons why the fire department doesn't carry them. And you have to get online medical control order before you do it. Rather that be OMD or the facility that you're transporting to. You'll call them, you'll tell them you've got, AFib RVR in the range of 150 or 180 to 220 or whatever it is, and tell them what's going on. They're symptomatic, non-symptomatic, whatever. Your dose for cardiazem is going to be 0.25 mg per kg, and it's slow IV push over 2 minutes. Your max dose is going to be 25 milligrams up to the age of 70, and your max dose for 70 plus is going to be 10 milligrams. Sorry. So that's what we're going to do for AFib or A flutter if it's a tachycardic AFib A flutter. So again, your AFib RVR, just a fast A flutter. The big key on that is you have to call online medical control. You can't just give it. So we'll move over to the next box, which is going to be your SVT, PSVT. The first thing we'll always do in a stable patient with PSVT is the modified Valsalva maneuver. If you don't know what that is, I'm not really sure how I can explain that to you on a screen recording video. So YouTube it. It's pretty simple. There's several videos. I actually just looked up on YouTube to make sure there's some stuff on there. There's a lot. So you can look up that and it will show you how to do that. Essentially, you're just going to blow into a syringe. It's going to be the most simple way to explain it. If that doesn't work, we'll always start with that. Remember, we're always going to go basic to advanced. So the most basic to the most advanced. So we start with the most basic, which is the modified Valsalva maneuver, and then we're going to go to our medication because their blood pressure is above 100, so they're technically considered stable as far as electricity versus medication goes. So our medication for PSVT is going to be adenosine. And for those of you that have been in the field a little bit or even have gone to school longer than probably 3-4 years ago, if you remember, we used to do 6 milligrams, 12 milligrams, 12 milligrams. That is not anymore. So we will do 12 milligrams, your first dose, and we can repeat it once at 12 milligrams. So 12 milligrams is going to be your initial dose. The most, probably in my opinion, the most simple way to do this is going to be, obviously you're going to need a line. So you start your IV, because if you look right there, it says 12 milligrams rapid IV push. So you need a line to be able to get this. So when you establish your line, preferably a larger line, not a 22. I mean, get what you can get, but try to get a little bit bigger line than that. And then go ahead and hang a bag of saline and run that wide open for a second. And then when you're ready, when you got your adenosine ready, you got it drawn up with your 12 milligrams, you can shut that line off, slam your adenosine because it's a rapid IV push, and then just open up your line, and that's going to flush it behind it. Another big thing with giving adenosine is to, again, what we talked about with cardioverting and all that type of stuff, explain to your patient what you're doing and why you're doing it, because you're going to hopefully slow down their heart rate. So it's going to feel very, very funny to them. You'll see on the monitor if you've ever given adenosine. I know you know what this feels like. It's kind of a butt-puckering moment, but you give that adenosine and they go into like a straight line, and it seems like it's like 30 seconds. Realistically, it's not. And then hopefully their rhythm converts to a normal sinus rhythm or even just a slow sinus tachycardia. If that doesn't work, then we can repeat it one more time at 12 milligrams. And then if that doesn't work from there, then you have to consider, do they need a cardioversion, or can you afford to get them to the hospital rapidly and let the hospital figure out what they want to do with them. So that is your SVT, just 2 steps, Valsalva maneuver, and then adenosine after you've gotten your IV. So we move over to the next box, and it's going to be your wide complex tachycardia or your monomorphic ventricular tachycardia. Our medication line for this is going to be amiodarone. If you remember on cardiac arrest, amiodarone, we give 2 different doses, 300 milligrams and 150 milligrams. For this specific case, scenario, protocol, this is going to be 150 milligrams over 10 minutes, and it's going to be a very slow IV push, and then it's going to be in a bolus. So if you go over one more time, you've got your torsades. We talked about torsades just a little bit. Your medication for torsades is, again, magnesium sulfate, and it's going to be 1 gram slow IV push, IO push over 1 minute, and you can repeat that 1 time. So quick run through one more time. You got AFib, A-flutter. We give Cardiazem 0.25, slow IV push over 2 minutes, max of 25 milligrams up to the age of 70 plus. Max is going to be 10 milligrams. For PSVT, we're doing the modified Valsalva maneuver followed by adenosine. If that doesn't work, we can give that one more time. For your wide complex tachycardia or your monomorphic VTAX, it's amiodarone 150 milligrams over 10 minutes. And then your torsades is magnesium sulfate 1 gram over 1 minute, and you can repeat that 1 time. So we'll go back up here and just go through this treatment priorities box real quick. I'm not going to read everything, just make sure that we hit everything in here. If you see at the bottom when it talks about your wide complex tachycardias, it mentions lidocaine. So just look into that because that's not in our protocol as far as this chart goes. but we'll talk about why we give lidocaine and when we give lidocaine here later on. Everything else we hit in this chart down below. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and let's keep moving on.